what, buddies? Welcome back to our new episode. Today, you will learn about factoring perfect square trinomial. I'll teach you the steps in factoring a perfect square trinomial. You will only need three easy steps. So, let's have the first example. N squared plus 16n plus 64. This polynomial is a trinomial because it has three terms: n squared, positive 16n, and positive 64. And in order to be a perfect square trinomial, it must have the following conditions. The first and last terms must be perfect squares. N squared is a perfect square because the exponent is divisible by 2. If the variable has an exponent that is divisible by 2, it is said to be a perfect square. While for our constant 64, we know that this is a perfect square. In order to create a perfect square, you must think of a number that when you multiply twice by itself yields to this number. 64 is the result of multiplying 8 by itself. 8 times 8 is 64. So it satisfies the first condition. Next, the middle term, which is 16n, must be twice the product of the square root of the first and last terms. Alright, again, the second condition, the middle term should be twice the product of the square root of the first and last terms. When we take the square root of the first term, which is n squared, and the square root of our last term, 64, is 8. Taking the product of this, 8 times n is 8n, and times 2 will have 16n. Now, this equals the middle term. So this is how we get the middle term. Alright, now let us factor completely the given polynomial. N squared plus 16n plus 64. Step 1. Get the square roots of the first and last terms. Okay, again, the first and last terms are n squared and 64. Taking the square roots, divide or copy the base and variable and divide the exponent by the index. We know if this is a square, the index is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, or simply n. Then 64 can be rewritten as 8 squared, right? So the number when raised to 2 is equal to this number. So 8 squared. Now you have the base, which is 8. Divide exponent by the index. 2 divided by 2 is also 1. 8 raised to 1, or simply 8. Okay. Now we already have the square roots. Now for step 2, we have to use the sign of the middle term between the roots. What is the sign of the middle term? All right, very good. The sign is a positive sign. Now, just combine the roots and with the positive sign in between. So we will have n plus 8. All right. Now for step 3, square the binomial obtained in step 2. Okay. So the binomial we create out of the roots is n plus 8. Okay. Very simple. Just copy n plus 8 and then put inside a parenthesis and put a square on the right top. And we try to expand this. This is equal to just copying inside or just copying the binomial n plus 8 and multiplying it by itself. Okay, now this concludes the factors of the given trinomial. N squared plus 16n plus 64 is equal to n plus 8 times n plus 8. So very simple, right? Okay, just simply to create the binomials, just simply have or take the square roots of the first term and take the square root of the last term. Then copy the sign of the middle term. Now, if you are given with just the binomials, let's say you have a plus 4 square or a plus 4 times a plus 4 in order to create the trinomial. So this is vice or the reverse. Now you have the factors and this time you will have to look or create the trinomial. Just simply square the first terms of the binomial. A square is a squared. And square the last terms of the binomials. So 4 square is 16. Now to create the middle term, multiply the terms of the binomial. A times 4 is 4a times 2, that would be 8a. So you don't have to do the long process of FOIL method to create the trinomial. If you have understood the steps in factoring perfect square trinomials, I want you to try this on your own. M squared minus 6m plus 9. And 4a squared plus 36a plus 81. Lastly, 1 minus 12m plus 36m squared. Your turn. Now, do it and post your answers on the comment section below. Okay, that's all. Happy factory, math buddies. Bye!